Hello, Heath Church. For those of you that don't know me, my name is John Orchard, and I'm Kerry and Rose's son. So, greetings from Bridgend. The passage that I wanted to look at for a few moments now is in Luke chapter 10. It's the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's a parable that I'm sure you're very familiar with. But I just wanted to focus in on the question at the start and the end of this parable. Let me read it to you. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What's written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself." "You've answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself. So he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbour?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. 'Look after him,' he said, 'and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have.' Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Now, did he get it? The question at the beginning and the question at the end. You see, at the beginning we've got this man who wants to justify himself. He's started off asking the question, how can you be good enough to get into heaven? And having seen, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul and strength, love your neighbour as yourself, for some reason he just assumes he's already loving God with all his heart, mind, soul and strength. But he's a lawyer, and it's a typical lawyer's question, isn't it? Who is my neighbour? Let's define terms in a way that suits me and my case. Who's my neighbour? Who do I have to love? Who do I have to love as much as myself to get into heaven? Because if it's just my wife, maybe I'll be alright. Probably not, but maybe I'll be alright. If it's the person down the street, the person that I find difficult to get on with, it's much, much harder. And Jesus tells the parable. We won't go over it all now, but the priest and the Levite walk past, and it's the Samaritan, the despised person, who stoops down and helps him. Now notice Jesus' question at the end. Who was a neighbour to the man? You see, the lawyer had asked the question as if he was the one walking down the street, deciding, who do I have to love? Who do I have to bestow my generosity and grace to in order to go to heaven? Jesus points out that no, he's actually the man in the road. He's the man lying bleeding in his pants, semi-conscious, unable to help himself, unable to pay back anything. He says, no, you're not in a position of power and privilege deciding who to be generous to. You're in a position of desperation, of death, of nakedness and shame. Your only hope of salvation is somebody having mercy on you. I wonder if you've realised that that's where we are. We often want to ask the question, who do I have to love? Who do I have to be nice to? But the point is, when Jesus says go and do likewise, he's saying, look, love other people, bearing in mind that we have been shown grace from someone from Jesus Christ, that we never deserved to have him show us mercy in the first place. We could never pay him back. We can tell the Samaritan is stands for Jesus Christ in the parable. He's the despised one. He's the one who stoops to lift up the person in need. Also, he pays the innkeeper 2 denarii. The 2 coins were so that's 2 days' work, which means the Samaritan is coming back on the 3rd day, isn't he? He's going to reappear on the 3rd day to finish the salvation of this man. There's a little Easter egg when we know the end of the story. But that means for you and I today, we have been loved scandalously. We've been loved by God in a way that we could never repay. So let's go and do likewise. Let's go and love other people the way He has loved us first. I'll see you soon.